Hey everyone, the enneamentalist here, and today I'm gonna type Carl Jung in Hekatior. I will leave a link to the Hekatior playlist in the description. First, let's introduce our special guest today, Carl Gustav Jung. Quoting Wikipedia for his bio, Carl Gustav Jung was a Swiss psychiatrist and psychoanalyst who founded analytical psychology. He was a prolific author, illustrator, a correspondent, and a complex and controversial character, presumably best known from his autobiography Memories, Dreams, Reflections. Before even proceeding to type Jung himself, is there anything that it's worth considering that could have some kind of effect on his processing? The answer is very likely. I will link in description an article written by the psychiatrist Michael Fitzgerald talking about Jung's case, pointing to the fact that Jung showcases traits that strongly suggest that Jung was somewhere on the autistic spectrum disorder. Very likely. It's possible that on top of that, he may have had some kind of minor comorbidities. Having premised that, it's time to type Jung himself. Let's start with step 1, is I'm brain type.
The world hangs on a thin thread, and that is the psyche of man. Nowadays, we are not threatened by elementary catastrophes. There is no such thing as an H-bomb. That is all man's doing. We are the great danger. The psyche is the great danger. What if something goes wrong with the psyche? See? And so you see, it is demonstrated to us in our days what the power of the psyche is of man, how important it is to know something about it. But we know nothing about it. Nobody would give credit to the idea that the psychical processes of the ordinary man have any importance whatever. One thinks, oh, he has just what he has in his head. It is all from his surroundings. He's taught such a thing, believes such a thing. And particularly if he's well housed and well fed, then he has no ideas at all. That's the great mistake. Because he is just that as which he is born, and he is not born as tabula rasa, but as a reality.
Jung was, in the Enneagram, an intellectual 9. The intellectual 9 got lost in dissemination, so they are most commonly mistyped to 5 if the person is an introvert, or to 7 if the person is more of an extrovert. Ichazo, for example, was a social 9, extrovert, often mistyped to 7. Jung get often mistyped to 5. Notice that the intellectual 9 is often the scholar as one of the top 2 visual archetypes, which you can see in Jung. Jung was a scholar priest. Also, the main trigger for action in Jung was issues in deep twinships. Think, for example, to all the events that happened between him and Freud. They were close friends that had some issues with each other, and then the rest is history. Oh, by the way, Freud was a 6, for those wondering which anagram type was Freud. So overall, Jung in brain type was dCh. Now, Jung talked about his own associated type in an interview. So let's hear what he has to say about that.
Have you concluded what psychological type you are yourself? naturally, I have devoted a great deal of attention to that painful question, and reached the conclusion, well, you see, the type is nothing static. It changes in the course of life. But I most certainly was characterized by thinking. I always thought, from early childhood on. And I had a great deal of intuition too. And I had a definite difficulty with feeling. And my relation to reality was not particularly brilliant. I was often at variance with the reality of things. Now that gives you all the necessary data for the diagnosis.
When I did complete SOJT by adding the hindbrain, one thing that I had to do was to rebalance the think-feel, because there was way too much think and way too less feel, like 80% think and 20% feel, with notion part. So him being a thinking lead in SOJT makes a lot of sense. I would say, in addition to what you reported there, that Jung had oscillating conscious psyche libido, in which he had highly differentiated thinking and intuition, and the psyche libido oscillated wildly between position 1 and 2, with the position 1 being thinking. Something similar to Elon Musk, but Jung was actually more of an introvert, whereas Musk is more of an extrovert. So overall, the estimated Hekatior typing for Jung is dCh-IT/N, oscillating conscious psyche libido with thinking above intuition. I'm gonna make an exception in this case and also point out what is a MBTI type, because several people go and twist everything that Jung said. Jung was not an INFJ. Those claims are absolutely laughable. ITN points to an INT temperament in MBTI, not an INF. If I were to type Jung within MBTI contest, it would be an INTJ 9. Well, I guess that's it for today. Stay tuned.